How you guys doing today? Jason A. Kuhn here, giving you a Fight the Deception with Christian Perception news brief for March 26, 2014. We got a lot of news today with a little time. We'll jump into it here at Infowars.com. Former Blackwater mercenaries hired as political police in eastern Ukraine. ITAR TASS, Russia's state-owned news agency, claims that junta in Kiev has hired a Blackwater spin-off to act as political police force in the eastern part of the country. The Voice of Russia reported on Tuesday, quote, Ukrainian authorities believe that the security service is not able to suppress the protest mood and neutralize the leaders and activists of the pro-Russian movement in the eastern regions. In particular, the source said that acting President Alexander Turchinov shares his opinion, quote, therefore it was decided to attract foreign mercenaries who will serve as political police and state security protection, unquote, said the representative of the security service. On March 10th, Infowars.com reported the presence of corporate mercenaries in Donetsk, an industrial city in eastern Ukraine, on the Kalamis River. A video posted on YouTube showed men with weapons and body armor on a street where a pro-Russian demonstration was held. A Russian diplomat told Interfax 300 employees of Blackwater, now known as Academy, had arrived in the pro-Russian cities. The mercenaries in Donetsk, quote, are soldiers of fortune proficient in combat operations, unquote, the diplomatic source told Interfax, according to the Daily Mail. Quote, most of them had operated under private contracts in Afghanistan, Iraq, and other states. Most of them come from the United States, unquote. We'll stick here on Infowars.com, an article by Paul Joseph Watson. Troops practice storming university building in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Fallujah came to Florida this week as residents in Fort Lauderdale were shocked to see Navy SEALs practicing storming a university building from a Black Hawk chopper as part of a military drills taking place this week in Broward County. As we reported yesterday, the media only announced that a Department of Defense exercise was taking place across the country after panicked residents reported low-flying military helicopters on Monday evening. The YouTube clip above shows a Black Hawk helicopter hovering low over the Florida Atlantic University building in a downtown Fort Lauderdale. Quote, they're going to the top of FAU, unquote, remarks the cameraman, adding, that's the big boy. Look how big that one is, man, as the chopper hovers over the building. Quote, look at all the guys that are hanging on the side practicing, he adds. In another clip from a different area of Fort Lauderdale, a man exclaims, quote, there are frigging Black Hawks flying around my condo, unquote. Now these include, go to Infowars.com, you can check out this article. It includes the YouTube videos. You can check it out for yourself. Of course, it will be linked into the YouTube description box. I'll move further down this article. While the DoD says the exercises are designed to train U.S. troops in urban warfare techniques for use overseas, local reporter Chris Joseph said the drills serve the dual purpose of, quote, scaring the crap out of people. Just as similar drills in Miami in 2012 terrorized residents, such drills habitually stoke concerns that authorities are acclimating Americans to accept a state of martial law. We'll move on to another article here at Infowars.com. Homeland Security conducts unannounced school lockdown drill. The Department of Homeland Security is expanding its operations by running unannounced school lockdown drills, another sign of the federal agency's encroachment into more areas of America's lives. Quote, on Thursday, March 6, a team comprised of 10 officials from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the Essex County Prosecutor's Office, and the New Jersey Department of Education's Safety and Security Task Forces visited Glen Ridge High School to conduct an unannounced school lockdown drill. Reports Georgetown Gilmore, quote, with the exception of Glen Ridge Superintendent Dr. John Musacalo and the Chief Police Sheila Byron Lugunteta on Glen Ridge Public School personnel received advance notice of the exercise. The federal state security team later reported their satisfaction with GRHS Principal Dirk Phillips for activating the school's lockdown procedure when ordered to do so by DHS officials and police. Quote, the New Jersey DOE team told us that all of the schools they have visited, GRHS was one of the best, unquote, said Superintendent Dr. Mucalo, confirming that the drills are now becoming commonplace throughout the region. Wow. We'll move on here to wearechange.org. New drone steals smartphone contents. A new drone by the name of Snoopy has the technological capabilities to steal all of your phone's data from above. The inventor Glenn Wilkinson said he created the drone to show the weakness in current cell phone technology. Wow. Let's move on here to LifeSiteNews.com, Hillary Clinton tells UN no human progress without abortion on demand. Wow. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who is expected to be the front runner for the Democratic presidential nomination in 2016, believes it is a, quote, bedrock truth, unquote, that abortion restrictions hamper human progress, and any efforts to improve women's rights must begin with increased access to contraception and abortion. Addressing the United Nations for International Women's Day, Clinton told her audience, quote, there is one lesson from the past, in particular, that we cannot afford to ignore. You cannot make progress on gender equality or broader human development without safeguarding women's reproductive health and rights. That is a bedrock truth, unquote. Wow, let's move on here to naturalnews.com. Big Pharma profiting gone wild. $1,000 a pill hepatitis drug in the USA sells for less than $10 in Egypt. Now, the financial raping of America by Big Pharma has just achieved a new milestone with the impending launch of a hepatitis C drug that cost $1,000 a pill. If you've ever wondered why U.S. healthcare is so unaffordable and inaccessible, and why health insurance costs are bankrupting businesses and municipalities across the nation, this is exactly why. The same drug that sells for $1,000 a pill in the USA, named Sovaldi, sells for just $10 a pill in Egypt. While drug companies are, of course, granted FDA-enforced monopolies on the treatment of anything considered a, quote, disease, as such, drugs are pushed into the marketplace as monopoly prices. Because if you're the CEO of Gilead Sciences Incorporated, makers of the Sovaldi drug to be sold at $1,000 a pill, your job is to maximize revenues by any means necessary. When you've handed a monopoly by the FDA, the strategy for achieving that is simple: raise the price to whatever you get away with, then bill the insurance companies, Medicare and Medicaid, for $100, $500, or even $1,000 a pill. We'll keep it here at naturalnews.com. Another article, Monsanto package admits seeds treated with poison and advises against human consumption. Images are surfacing across the internet that illustrate the true dangers associated with genetically modified GM seeds, as admitted by the seeds manufacturers. The Food Warrior Network recently posted a photo of a seed package distributed by Monsanto India Limited, for instance, that warns users not to consume the seeds or use them as food, oil, or animal feed because they are poisonous. This shocking photo is sparking controversy among many health advocates, particularly as the biotechnology industry ramps up the propaganda machine to reassure the public that GMOs are safe and no different from the natural organisms. On the contrary, GM seeds are admittedly dangerous and are not safe for human consumption, which means the widespread industry claim that they are substantially identical to natural seeds is wholly false. Quote, caution, seeds treated with poison, unquote, reads the package warning accompanying the seeds. Quote, do not use for food, feed, or oil purpose, unquote. You can view the telling image here. Now, you can click on this link at naturalnews.com. Of course, it will be linked in the YouTube description box. We'll move on to the last article of the day, back to Infowars.com. U.S. jazz musicians were drafted into CIA's MK-Ultra. Here's a bit of U.S. history that shows the reach of CIA's infamous mind control program, MK-Ultra. During the 1940s and the 50s, it was common knowledge that musicians who were busted for drug use were shipped or volunteered to go to Lexington, Kentucky. Lex was the first narcotics farm and U.S. Health Department drug treatment hospital in the United States. According to diverse sources, here's a partial list of the reported, quote, hundreds of jazz musicians who went to Lex. Red Rodney, Sonny Rollins, Chet Baker, Sonny Stitt, Howard McKee, Elvin Jones, Zoot Sims, Lee Morgan, Tad Dameron, Stan LaVey, and Jackie McLean. It's also reported that Ray Charles was there, and William Burroughs, Peter Lorre, and Sammy Davis Jr. It was supposed to be a rehab center, a place for drying out, but it was something else too. Lex was used by the CIA as one of its MK-Ultra centers for experimentation on inmates. The doctor in charge of this mind control program was Harris Isbell. Ironically, Isbell was at the same time a member of the FDA's Advisory Committee on the Abuse of Depressant and Stimulant Drugs. Isbell gave LSD and other psychedelics to inmates at Lex. At Sandoz Labs in Switzerland, Dr. Albert Hoffman, the discoverer of LSD, also synthesized psilocybin from magic mushrooms. The CIA got some of this new synthetic from Hoffman and gave it to Isbell so he could try it out on inmates at Lex. MK Ultra was a CIA program whose goal was to control minds, in part through the use of drugs. Isbell worked at Lex from the 1940s through 1963. It is reported that in one experiment, Isbell gave LSD to 7 inmates for 77 consecutive days, at 4 times the normal dosage. That is a chemical hammer of incredible proportions. To induce inmates to join this drug experiments, they were offered the drug of their choice, which in many cases was heroin. So at a faculty dedicated to drying out and rehabbing addicts, addicts were subjected to MK Ultra experiments and then reestablished of their former habit. Apparently as many as 800 different drugs were sent to Isbell by the CIA or CIA fronts to use on patients at Lex. 2 of the fronts, the U.S. Navy and the U.S. National Institute of Mental Health. In another MK Ultra experiment at Lex, 9 men were strapped down on tables. They were injected with psilocybin. Lights were beamed at their eyes and a typical mind control component. During Isbell's tenure, no one knows how many separate experiments he ran on the inmates. No one knows what other mind control programming he attempted to insert along with the drugs. Wow, that's all the news I got for you guys today. I don't want to leave you without the New World Order quote of the day. Quote, I would support a presidential candidate who pledged to take the following steps. At the end of the war in the Persian Gulf, press for a comprehensive Middle East settlement for a new world order based not on Pax Americana, but on peace through a law with a stronger UN and world court, unquote. That's from George McGovern in the New York Times of February 1991. Of course, I don't want to leave you without the proverb of the day. Proverbs 6:23, King James only. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. It's all the news and articles and quotes I got for you guys today. I'll leave you off with the song that I brought you in on. This is by Decipher Down, titled Breathe for You.